Greetings and welcome to live and real Q&A. Ask Miles anything. I hope you are well. I'm going to dive straight in to the questions. If you haven't posted a question, just a prompt that this is live, real, raw. Literally ask me anything. Nothing is off limits. Personal, professional, you name it. I want to hear from you. So if you haven't asked the question, then please make sure you do for the next one. All right, so diving straight in, we've got Roy Banks has asked the question. He said, I'm struggling to stay motivated in my full-time job, and this seems to be spilling over into other areas of my life, fitness, coaching, etc. Any advice or tips? Great question, Roy, and it's something I have experienced myself on a personal level, and I know there's other members in our Master Coach family that might experience this too. I think ultimately, Roy, I could give you tips. Personally, I'm not a fan of tips. Here's why. I believe you already know the solution to the problem. I believe you already know the solution to the problem. And I think it would be a little bit lazy of me to just give you tips. And the reason I say that is because I believe that a lot of unsuccessful coaches look for tips. And the problem with tips are they're so easily and readily available on Google that if they worked, everybody would be applying them, right? So it's kind of like fitness. If somebody said to me, have you got any tips to get fit? I'd say, yeah, go on Google and Google will tell you what you need to do to get in shape. You don't need me to tell you, just go on Google. So I believe that deep down, Roy, you kind of know what you need to do. So I'm just going to firstly kind of put the ball back in your court and say, like, you know, like if you're watching this now and you really, really sit and think for a minute and don't look for my tips to be the solution, really, you know. And this is the beauty of coaching, because you see, I made the mistake a long time ago of getting a mentor without first having had a coach. Here's the problem with getting a mentor before you get a coach. A mentor will just tell you what to do. A lot of the time, a mentor gives you tips. And if you know for certain what it is that you want, tips from the right mentor, priceless. So when we decided we wanted to build our coaching training online, virtual, automated, build a 1 day that worked to 3 day, how do you close the sales, what do you offer people on the back to support them long term, academy. When I needed to know what to do, I went to a particular mentor and said, what should we do? And he went, do this, 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 and this. But it's really interesting because that mentor told me to do those things about 2 years before I actually did them. And so the reason why I didn't take those actions, those tips straight away, Roy, is because I didn't fundamentally know me, and I didn't know what I wanted, and I definitely didn't know my values, and I hadn't fully uncovered my limiting beliefs. So I'm not going to give you tips because you can find them on Google. What I am going to get you to think about is a question which is a really, really, on the surface, it's a really basic question, but I think if you sit and answer it with a notepad, I think some really good stuff will come up. So around staying motivated in your full-time job, I want to ask you the question that's really intentionally broad and ambiguous, which is, you know, and this is for anybody that's listening to this, not just for Roy. And the question is this: what do you want? What do you really want? You have to sit with that question. You have to sit and process that question. Because until you know what you really want, tips are irrelevant. What do you really want? And then my second favorite question, once you've come up with a list of things you really want, what else do you want? Tony Robbins says progress equals happiness. So right now, Roy, I believe your biggest problem is that maybe when you sent that, you might not have been in a peak state. So that's the first thing, because motivation breaking it down into two parts is motive to take action. So if Tony Robbins is right that progress really equals happiness, all you've really got to do is take action and you'll feel better. I don't know if you've ever had that experience. I remember I used to sell gym memberships for a living. And let's say, pretend, just amuse me, a woman comes in for her first visit. She's really intimidated, not in shape. She's really nervous. And she's not sure if she's made the right decision. She has one workout. She walks out dripping in sweat. And I say to her, how are you feeling now? And she's like, amazing. Her body hasn't changed, but her mind and her state have changed because she's making progress. One workout. So what I would do if I were you, Roy, is I'd get really clear on what you want, what else you want. And then you said the word motivation. So I'd go, right, all you need to do is take action, but you need to first know why. You need to know what your motives are. So if you're struggling to stay motivated, maybe it's because you don't like the job that you're in which case, change it. But change you first, because if you don't change you first and you go to another job, then you just take the same you to that new job. One of my mentors always used to say to me, in any given situation where you need to make a change, what's the best change to make first? You or the situation? And if you're really honest with yourself, and if I'm really honest with myself, it's always me first. So it's like, right, first thing I need to do is change myself, get myself in state. Then I need to reevaluate my goals. What do I want? Why do I want it? Get clear on what you really want. And then, Roy, start making some plans. Maybe you do need to eventually have an exit plan for that job. Maybe that isn't the right job for you. Maybe you haven't set great enough boundaries around, maybe you haven't, let's say, made other things like your fitness non-negotiable. So maybe I'll give you one that's close to me. I haven't made the time this past 3 days to go to the gym, but because exercise is a non-negotiable, at a minimum, I sit on the spin bike in the kitchen and I do some band workouts. So make it hard to fail and easy to win. That's a great advice I was given. Make it hard to fail and easy to win. So it's great if you've got high standards, but make it hard to fail and easy to win. So I hope that helps you, Roy. I know that doesn't give you the tips that you wanted, but that's because I don't think you really need tips. I think you need to reevaluate your motive for action. Hope that helps. Message me and let me know, Roy, if that's been useful, because I really do want to know. Hillary asked, if you're working on various projects, how do you know whether they're worth it or just busy work? Great question. And the answer to this is, I don't know. So interestingly, the question is, if you are working on various projects, how do you know whether they're worth it or busy work? One of the things I've learned in my men's group is if you want to help find distinctions or answers, use I more than you. So a lot of people are like, yeah, you know when you feel like this, and we're kind of trained in my men's group to never say, when you just have one of those days. We're kind of trained to say, well, when I have one of those days, yeah. So always try when you write a statement to write it as I, because then you fully own it. So if I reword Hillary's question as I, it would say, I'm working on various projects. How do I know whether they're worth it or just busy work? And I'd say the answer to that question is, I don't know. But I tell you what will help you find the answer is through what I call getting coherent. So there is a device called a HeartMath, which is a heart coherence device. And what it does is based on heart rate variability, it can tell you when you're in a state to best make a decision that has your heart and your brain fully in sync with each other. Fascinating. £130 on Amazon, incredible tool. HeartMath, highly recommended. In fact, one of my coaches recommended it a few years ago, and that's why I got one. So whenever I have a big decision to make, all right, how do I know if this is busy work or if it's actually worthwhile? I meditate on it. I sit with this device, and when I'm in the green zone, which is the coherent zone, basically coherence is like I'm wearing Bluetooth headphones, right? If the Bluetooth on the phone is off, the phone can't connect to the headphones. So often we try and make decisions with our internal Bluetooth off, which basically means we try and make decisions using our head and not our heart or our gut intuition. If you try and make decisions based just on your head, based on logic, then you might make some right decisions logically. But if you've ever had that experience of making a decision and afterwards going, fuck, I wish I had done that, that's because your heart's telling you that it might have been the right decision in the worldly realm, as in it was good for keeping up appearances, or it was good for because your parents will approve of you or validate the decision, right? Well, that other people will give you a gold star, like, well done you, right? But if in your gut intuition it doesn't feel right, then you'll get that feeling. It's a bit like when I was in a fancy titled sales director job and I quit in 6 weeks because I was like, this is not in alignment with my vision. So I quit. Not a sensible decision because I didn't have a backup, but it felt right. And it was the right decision, and I figured it out, right? As often we do. So I don't know the answer to the question. You do. You may hear that and go, well, I don't have one of those HeartMath devices, so how do I figure out without one of those, without spending £130 on Amazon, meditate? So ultimately, the fastest way to get coherent is to meditate. So it's sitting, guided meditation, preferably, easiest one, 10, 15 minutes, deep diaphragmatic breathing, get to the end, and then literally write yourself a note in your phone, what comes up? What comes up as the answer to that question? And this is, again, why coaching is so powerful, because I can mentor you. Hey, if you want to figure out your niche, this is what I would do. And I can give you an answer, but actually, in most cases, the real answer to figuring out what's right for you is listening to your heart and your gut intuition, because nobody knows what's right for you as well as you. But if you're only listening to your brain or your head, that won't necessarily give you the truest indication of what's right either. You've got to listen to your brain and your heart, gut, intuition, whatever you want to call it. Great question. That was a really long pause, wasn't it? Okay. Oh, I see. That was from Tanya. Sorry, that question. Great. Hillary had shared it. Amazing. I think it was from Tanya. Yeah. Tanya also said, how do you get more clients to sign up with us if the DM100 isn't working? Great question, Tanya. So my first question, Tanya, is, do you already have clients? Because interestingly, I had a conversation with a mentor a few years ago, and I said to him, DM100 is not working anymore. And he went, okay. He went, how many contacts have you got? Like, as in, across all your social media platforms in your phone, how many contacts have you got that you haven't invited to have a coaching discovery call with you? How many? And I came up, there was still a good 600-700 people that had never been invited to a call with me. Now, I didn't know if they were, they weren't necessarily my ideal client or niche or anything like that, but he just said, how many contacts have you never invited to a call? And I went, well, if I just went on my LinkedIn, it's like, 420 something. Was right, okay. He went, invite them to a trainer. And I had all these reasons in my head as to why they weren't the right people and they weren't the clients I wanted to work with. He said, just go and do it. He said, because here's the thing. If you bring in any new clients organically and you want to and are ready to start paid advertising, for example, which I'll come to that in a second, it means that you haven't spent the money because you've got it from people that you got organically. So I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent. What I'm ultimately trying to say, Tanya, is Tanya's asked the question, how can we get more clients to sign up with us if the DM100 isn't working? If you've already got clients, then I would challenge you to double check that you haven't fully exhausted that. Here's another thing. Now, this is just a language thing, but language is really powerful. Tanya said, how can we get more people, more clients to sign up with us if the DM100 isn't working? So here's a bit of tough love for you, Tanya. And I talked about this in Master Coach this weekend. The primary purpose of a trailer is not to sign up a person to become a client. I'll say that again. The primary purpose of a trailer is not to get people to sign up with you. The primary purpose of a trailer is that you love coaching so much that you are willing to deliver trailers to anybody that would be willing to have a coaching call with you, because the primary purpose of a trailer is not to get clients, it is to change the freaking world. And until you make that the primary purpose of you delivering a trailer is that your primary outcome is just to serve, any energy that is sensed or that you're projecting, hey, the reason I'm doing this DM100 thing that Miles suggested is to get clients. If that's the primary driver, you will not get clients using that process. There are people that have been through our program who have got, you know, for example, I use an example, Jackie Bergwin Turner. She made £24,000 in her first 12 weeks since she joined our business academy, all organically, all using that fully booked framework approach. Now, I'm not saying that works for everybody, but the reason why I push so hard on that process is because after that, it becomes a lot harder to get clients. Here's why. So to answer Tanya's question, to give you an answer, Tanya, the next thing I would do to give you an answer, because I know you're looking for it, the next thing I would do is I would consider doing social media content. So like I would consider, and I highly recommend that you're doing live video, because it's the fastest way to build trust. Somebody would often say to me, Miles, I'm not comfortable on video. I go, good luck selling coaching, because people buy people. Most people don't want coaching. What they want is to feel different. And the fastest way to make them feel different is to embody the example of what it's like to buy coaching, which means eventually you're going to have to get in their face anyway. You're going to have to either get on the phone with them or get on Zoom with them. So you're going to have to get face to face with an individual. So I'm saying the fastest way to differentiate yourself from other coaches out there is to get on video and start speaking your message for your audience on social media in some form of live broadcast format. So that's what I would do, Tanya. I would then, when people engage with your videos, the ones that comment especially, I would then be inviting them to a trailer with you. And I would literally keep doing that. In fact, during the pandemic, in addition to just cold inviting people that were on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, to a coaching call with me, I was doing 3 or 4 lives a week. And anybody that engaged or commented, I was messaging them to invite them to have a call with me. And many people that became clients during the pandemic became clients because they were watching my videos that I was filming at home and they wanted to have a call. So that's what I would do. And then after that, you've got various things like partnerships, networking, offline marketing. You've got maybe run your own event, partner with somebody to run an event offline or online, and invite people on your social media to this free event. And then the people that attend, invite them to have a call with you. Run a webinar, invite people to book a call with you off the back of the webinar. And last, really, and I really stress that it really is important that the last resort after doing those things is paid advertising. And the reason is because, and people often say, Miles, why do you push back when we've just, if we're in our first year as a coach, why are you so pushing back on paid advertising? And I say paid advertising only works when you've got social proof. So unless you've got 30 case studies, all right, it doesn't have to be that high, but unless you've got at least 15 to 20 testimonials of people going, oh my God, Tanya's coaching is amazing, then you're going out into literally the cesspool of humanity, which is complete strangers on social media, who many of which, there are so many, as Brene Brown would call, keyboard warriors out there who will literally hate on your posts just because, I don't know why, it's quite sad, but there are people out there that are literally just looking to just pick holes in people. There are just people out there that literally that is their thing, that they want to just pick holes, and they will pick holes in you. We have holes picked in us all the time. But because we've got case studies and testimonials, like dozens and dozens and hundreds of people gone through our program, we've got some evidence of success. Doesn't mean we don't get haters, but we've got some success, which means it's easier because there's genuine credibility, there's 5-star Google reviews, so there's evidence of success that we can use to leverage ourselves, so that when people are feeling untrusting, they can look at reviews rather than listen to what I say. So if I were you, Tanya, I would re-explore the fully booked framework approach. Think about the outcome that you're setting. Think about the primary focus. And then after that, I would really consider strongly doing the social media content posting route if you're not doing that already. It's a great question, and thank you for asking. It's a really, really great question. Divya, last question, I think. So I think there's a few parts to this question. So I'm just going to read it as it says it. How much is the investment needed exactly as capital to be starting your own basic coaching business and include all the funnels and sales and marketing? I'm afraid, but one thing still I haven't been clear on is my niche. I suppose it would sort out my doubts in the 3-day program, but I'm afraid it didn't. How exactly one has to be clear on it if you said that our clients should not be 40, 70 years of age? And basically those are the clients which have a foundation and do not hesitate to pay and take care of themselves, investing economically. Thank you. So thank you, Divya. So first thing, Divya, there's a lot to unpack here. So I'm just going to, for the benefit of time, I am going to give you some high level, but I'm also going to give you some canned responses because there's a lot of things there. Probably, Divya, too much to unpack in a Q&A because I feel like there's so many layers. So I'm just going to break down each bit. First bit, how much is the investment needed exactly as capital to be starting your own basic coaching business? Zero. So you don't need resources to start a coaching business. What you need, Divya, is resourcefulness. So my question to you, Divya, is how many people have you so far invited to have a coaching experience with you? So ultimately, right now, I always say to people in the beginning, you don't need funnels and marketing assets. What you need is resourcefulness. So I used the reference earlier, Jackie Burgoyne-Turner. She doesn't have a funnel, she doesn't have a website, she doesn't have business cards, but yet she made £24,000 in her first 12 weeks. She didn't have the resources, but she was very resourceful. So you don't need resources, Divya, you need resourcefulness. So the first thing that you need to be doing, CYBO, C-Y-B-O, write that down, coach your butt off. That's all you really need to be focusing right now, is coaching your butt off. That's the first thing. Next thing Debbie said is, I'm afraid, but one thing still I haven't been clear on is my niche. Okay, so I did a video on YouTube a few weeks ago called Why Niches Are Overrated. If you're not taking action, Divya, because you haven't got a niche yet, You don't need a niche. Here's why. If I take 2 coaches that go out of our training, one has the best niche. The second doesn't have a niche, but they coach their butt off. I guarantee the second one, a year from now, will have more clients and more income than the first one. So it is an illusion to think that you need a niche. It is an illusion to wait till you have a niche to get started. Waiting for a niche to get started is like waiting to get the right gym clothes before you join the gym. Oh, I'm not going to the gym until my new gym clothes arrive. What's the saying? All the gear, no idea. Don't be that person. Don't be the person that's waiting for a niche, Divya. If this is your mission, Divya, if this is truly your serving, your purpose in life, then just coach your freaking butt off. Don't worry about whether it's the right people. Anybody will do. Okay? Doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter if it's your neighbor. Doesn't matter if it's a governor from your local school. Coach your freaking butt off. Don't worry about your niche. If you really want to figure the niche thing out, we did the training on niching, which you've got. It's like an hour and a half long. That will help you figure it out. You can go on Google, going back to tips earlier. Type in Google, Divya, best life coaching niches, and it will tell you the ones that are the most profitable in the current economy. And just pick one of those. If you're really struggling with niche, just pick one. Just literally pick a niche. So don't overcomplicate that. If you're afraid, then that's a different matter. Fear is real. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that fear is going to go away. It isn't. It isn't. But you know the worst thing in the world is that you don't take action because of fear. What you want to do, Divya, is take action in spite of fear and know that fear is meant to be there. Fear is never going to go away. I still get fear. You think that all of a sudden, because I've achieved a little bit of success, that I don't get fearful? No, I just don't allow it in. Anytime I get into fear, I change my state. I get on my spin bike in my kitchen and I put some personal development on, and I just recondition and just brainwash myself out of that fearful state. So fear isn't going to go away. Being afraid, Divya, thank you for being honest, that's never going to go away. But how it will reduce is by taking action in spite of fear. And she said, I supposed it would sort out my doubts in the 3-day program, but I'm afraid it didn't. Again, it's an illusion, Divya, to think that all your doubt would be gone after Master Coach, because that's just not how life works. It's like saying, I thought if I joined the gym and I had 3 really good workouts, I would have a 6-pack. We all intellectually get how that's not real, right? How that's just not possible. It also is impossible to go on a 3-day training and have all doubt go away. It's just not possible. And what's often happening is people that are in fear are focusing on certainty. So Tony Robbins talks about 6 human needs. People that are in fear are focused on certainty. And what that means is they're focused on what they don't have. Like, oh, I don't feel certain that I'm going to be able to make an income doing this. And that can't be your primary driver. That can't be your main focus. The minute you go into, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make money doing this, the minute that's your focus, you're in fear. You're in fear. You can't move forward. What you've got to do is you've got to condition yourself to be focused on growing and giving. So if you want to get rid of the doubt, Divya, go and invite 30 people to a coaching call today and go for a walk or a run and put some great personal development on in your headphones. And then when doubt comes back in, do it again. It's why I have a bike in the kitchen, because there are times where I go, oh, I don't have time to get out of the house. I'm in fear. I'm in worry. I'm feeling uncertain. I'm scared. Okay, I'm going to go downstairs and get on the bike. So I hope that helps you, Divya, to reframe being afraid and having doubt. And then the last bit I'm not clear about, because you said how exactly one has to be clear on if, Miles, you said that our clients should not be 40 to 70 years of age. I never said that. I definitely never said that. So what Divya is basically saying is, so I'm just going to reread it. It doesn't make sense the way that it's written. Forgive me, Divya, it doesn't make sense to me. But I think I get what you're getting at. How exactly one has to be clear on that if, Miles, you said that our clients should not be 40 to 70 years of age. And basically, those are the clients which have a foundation and do not hesitate to pay and take care of themselves. So here's what I do say about niche, is you need a niche that you know people can afford your coaching. Oh, but Miles, I want to work with this type of person and they don't have any money. Now, here's what you won't hear from me. Go for your passion, go for your dream client. Oh, but Miles, I want to work with students who have no money because they're my people. Here's the thing. If you target an audience of people who either don't have the money or don't have the inclination to invest in themselves, you're not going to be able to build a coaching business that's sustainable and lasts long term. So you have to target people who can afford coaching. You have to. You may hear that and go, that's not very philanthropic. That's not very, so I have to go for people for the money. No, you're not going for people for the money, but you have to aim at people that can financially afford it. Otherwise, how can you keep the lights on? And then if you really have a passion for a group of people who you feel can't afford coaching at the level that you want to charge, because at the end of the day, if you can't keep paying you can't keep paying the business to sustain itself, then generating income. This is what Jackie Bergwijn-Turner does, who I keep referencing, getting a big shout out for you today, Jackie. Jackie targets a certain individual who can afford a coaching at one-to-one level, and then her group coaching program, she downsells people who can't afford it into a low-priced entry group coaching program. I've got a friend who has an accountability coaching program that's £8 a month, and he has about 80 people in it. It's only a few £100s a month, but he's getting to serve the people that can't afford the one-to-one, and maybe later in the future they might ascend up to one-to-one. So, but he can't sustain himself with the £8 a month. He has to have one-to-one clients as well. So if you really want to serve people who aren't economically able to pay, Divya, target people who can first, cover your base income, and then when you've done that, you've proven you could do that, then create a group program that's a downsell, so that people who need a lower priced ticket, but you really want to help, you can help and serve them in some form of once-a-month group coaching thing. That's it. Hope you've enjoyed the Q&A. Hope you found it useful. Please let me know your comments, questions, thoughts, distinctions, learnings for you personally, especially those of you that have asked questions and those of you that didn't ask questions. Just so you know, at the time of doing this video, we have our Master Coach Advanced certification coming up April 1st and 2nd. If you want to know more about that, drop an email to us at support@cep-coaching.com, and I'll see you for another